Hi, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com, and today I'd like to share with you my outside the box ideas that I created with the Spooky Treats September 22 paper pumpkin kit from Stampin' Up. These kits are automatically delivered to me each month and contain everything that I need to make fun, creative paper crafting cards and projects. This September kit contains supplies for making 18 Halloween-themed treat boxes, 6 of 3 different kinds. Each kit also includes a publication like this one with directions, full color illustrations, details about the kit, and a link to access a how-to video so you can assemble the cards or projects as shown. The kits also include inks and stamps that can be used again and again, even after the consumable parts are used up. This September kit included an Orchid Oasis colored ink pad and this cute exclusive stamp set. The kits are a Stampin' Up! Product, so the colors, images, and supplies always coordinate with many other Stampin' Up! Products. I'll be using some of these in the alternate projects I create for you today. You can find the items I used listed below and linked to my online store. You can also find links for learning more about paper pumpkin kits, starting your subscription through me so I can spoil you with exclusive ideas, gifts, and prizes, joining my Paper Pumpkin fan club on Facebook where you can see even more alternate project ideas shared daily, and if you're watching my video on YouTube, a link to my website where I've shared photos of the projects you're going to see today. I received a large clear block in my first paper pumpkin kit to use with all my future stamps. That tool and my scissors are all that I need for completing my kits as is. But you'll notice that I substitute that block for the ergonomic Stampin' Up! Blocks. I also use the larger version of the ink pad and some additional adhesive, such as my stamp and seal. You won't need these, but they're available products from Stampin' Up! And they're a bit easier and quicker for me to use while I demonstrate in my video. By the way, if you're looking for ideas for past kits, visit my website at stampyourartout.com. Click on Paper Pumpkin in the top menu and then choose Recent or Older Posts. I've been creating and sharing alternates since March of 2013 when Paper Pumpkin first began. I'm excited to create with you, so let's get started. When my kids were little, they're now 15 and 16 years old, I used to take these paper pumpkin treat box container type things and try to see if I could double them. And so that's what I've done for you today. So if you have kids that are at that age where they're still giving out treats in classes, or you have a lot of trick-or-treaters that come to your door and you want to make something cute, this is what I suggest. So I took the pieces for each of those 3 style boxes, separated them out into what we had available, and then I split them out even more. So the cover of the treat box, the base of the treat box, I have created 2 different containers with those pieces, and then I rearranged the little embellishment designs in different ways. So let's go ahead and start with this piece here. This is the cover of one of the boxes, and instead of folding on all of those score lines to create a cover that wraps around a box, I'm just going to fold it in half first, and I'm going to bring in this piece. We're going to stamp that. I've got Memento Tuxedo Black ink. We're going to ink up our stamp, hover it over the top of our label piece here, press it evenly, and pull it away. So we've got that piece done, and then I'm going to use the color that comes in the kit, the Orchid Oasis, and we're going to stamp a few bats. So we're just going to stamp them kind of wherever, doesn't matter. They're flying. Bats can fly anywhere, right? And there's that. I found this candy. So the M&M little, I don't know, the tiny piece, the tiny ones. I got them, oh gosh, at my local grocery store. And so we've got them in all different colors. We have a yellow one, we have the brown container, and we have a red one. But this purple one is pretty awesome at coordinating with our kit. And so you can just tuck it in there like this. And what I thought I would do is first fold it over the top of the candy like that, bring in a stapler, and it can be any stapler. It can be a small one that's cutesy. It can be a large one. Oh, look I still have blue staples inside mine. Yeah, I like to have colored staples. I'm one of those weird people. I just like craft everywhere, color and craft. So then what we can do here to cover up the scratchier part of the staple, because that part you never want to look at anyways, because it can hurt you if you hold it wrong, whatever, it catches on stuff. So we're just going to take and put a little piece of that tear and tape that comes in the kit over the top of that. And then we can take and stick that together. And it's okay if it's not completely lined up because you've got candy in there now. This piece can go right on top. We'll just grab the glue dots that come in the kit. Because these are smaller glue dots, I'm sticking 3 on there. And they don't have to be evenly arranged because I guess I didn't do that. And then we'll just stick that right against the container. And now you have a simple, sweet little treat. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do that with the other pieces for the plaid or stripe design. I've got this one here, and then I've got the spider for this one here. I've already stamped these 2 sections of those parts for the candy holders. So right when I pushed this little piece aside, it popped open. So instead I put some extra tear and tape along the whole length of it. I tried pressing it down really hard and it still popped open. So you'll want to put a whole length of it. Okay, so for this one, peanut M&Ms obviously are a little bit larger. So we're going to attempt to just put the tape here on this side instead. Peel off the backing. And then when we bring it up, we can just get right up to that stapler or staple. There we go. This piece we'll just use our seal adhesive, or you could use the glue dots that come in the kit. We're going to add that to this crushed curry yellow piece, and then we'll put this whole piece up onto dimensionals. So there's our second one. And now let's go ahead and do this third one. For this one, I was looking at the M&M containers, and I thought it'd be fun to see the M&Ms through the spider web, or the M&M characters through there. And then when I placed even the most, or the least distracting one through there and put the spider on here, I felt like it was still taking away from the spider. So I said, what can I put behind or between? And I grabbed some tissue from the actual kit. So we're just going to wrap some tissue around. And place that towards the top here. Bring this down. Staple shut. That should work, right? I think that'll be less distracting. Oh gosh, regular M&Ms don't take up much room at all. This was the flattest of the containers. But I'm still going to use tear and tape all the way across just to be safe. You can get additional tear and tape, so if you decide to take your whole kit and double the treat containers like I'm sharing with you, then you'll want to probably invest in a little bit more tear and tape. Let's put on a couple dimensionals behind the spider. And then we can just tuck the string of the spider up through there and press it down. So there's the third of these 3. Now let's take the second portion of the box, the base of the box, and let's play around with that. So we're going to use, let's use the black one first. So what I thought we could do is just fold them so that this piece that normally goes on the inside of the box, and we'll just fold it so that this becomes the lid of the box. So instead of going down and in and scoring right here, pressing on that score line there, we're going to place a score line here and fold it downward. So let's bring in the trimmer. We're going to bring our, this little spot here, the part that sticks out, we're going to bring that 1/16 of an inch before the 1 inch mark on our trimmer. So here's the 1 inch mark, which is this line that goes all the way through. And then I'm going to press the flat edge here it does change right there. So you want to just be, aware that this is the edge that you want to have pressed against it. Don't try to get the whole piece there. And then slide it 1/16 of an inch before that line. We'll use the score blade and press, and that's the one that we're going to fold on, not here. So let's assemble this now. Okay, now these folds here go the opposite direction. And now we'll assemble. And the tabs are going to go in, but first we're going to stick these two pieces down. You can use your tear and tape that comes in the kit. I'm just going to use my seal here because I think it's going to be strong enough. Oops, got a little bit on the side there. Okay, so these get pressed down into place like that. Then these tabs come in, and this piece is going to go up and over. Having trouble with my dispenser. There we go. So it's going to go up and over, and it's going to hold on to these tabs here and press against. And now we've got all of our tabs stuck against the ground portion of our box. These tabs go in, and normally you would crease here and push this whole thing flat into the base of the box. But we're not going to crease on that line. Instead, we're just going to tuck. But so that the box is a little bit sturdier, these two tabs are going to get some adhesive on them. And it goes on the back side, or the side that's going to press against the box. There we go. And now we have a second treat holder that we can decorate. So what do we have left? We've already used up this piece, or these pieces, I should say. These pieces. And on the, let's see here, on this one, we used these two. So these are the items we have left. And we've already folded up our black box. And we're going to fold these up. So these are our decorating pieces. I think I'm going to put this one on the white box and this one on the orange. So that gives me these two pieces left. And what I've done already is stamped that one. Let's go ahead and add that to the top of our box. Because I've worked with a lot of paper pumpkin kits, all of them, I have leftover dimensionals from another kit. These are larger ones. You can purchase either the minis or the larger ones in the online store. So in case you run out, but if you're a regular subscriber, you are not going to run out. It's amazing how much your adhesive builds up over time. We're going to put that right over that score mark, and that'll help make it sturdy too, so it doesn't accidentally bend there. And then this piece we can just kind of do right around here, like that. What kind of treats go in here? Oh gosh. Well, I did find these chunky bars, milk chocolate with peanuts and raisins. Oh, I've never tried those, but those fit in there. So if you wanted to do a chunky bar. I also discovered that these fun Hershey Kisses that are monster designs this year fit in here perfectly. So you can do a row of 3, a row of 3, and then attempt to do another row of 3. But actually this last one doesn't fit in there too well, so you kind of have to tip it on its side. But you can close that shut and you can have 9 Hershey Kisses in there. Another thought is to grab some Skittles. This year's design matches really well with the orange that's in our kit. And I think you can fit 2 of them in there pretty well. or one if you want. Two of them fit well if you flatten them out a little bit. And then, do you see these little tabs here? That's because this box was meant to pull through the sleeve. You could use those tabs for these little tiny suckers, these dum-dum suckers, they're called. And you could put a couple going one way and a couple going the other way with the sucker ends sticking out. So then you really know that there's a treat inside because you've got that little hint of the two sucker ends there. So that's one treat you could fit in there, or several treats that you could fit in there. Okay, now let's go ahead and stamp this box. So this one we want to stamp with, I think I'm going to do the trick or treat. I'm going to put my little ghosty guy on there, like, oops, this is the front of the box. Like, here it is, like that. This is where you want to stamp. Yes, this is where you want to stamp, because if you open up, there we go. So that's where the decoration goes. This is the portion of your box that's going to get decorated. So you're going to stamp your message here. And on this one, I think I'm going to use some stamps. I think I'm going to put the spider web on there and maybe have a spider hanging down. And then we'll do the enjoy the spooky treat stamp on that one. And remember to put your score line in the same places that we did with our black box. So now we've got these 3 different designs. And we've got these added to it. My gosh, we turned 3 boxes into 6. So you could literally take 18 boxes and turn them into 36 if you want to do that with your whole kit. And I almost forgot that we have these fun star embellishments in there too. So I added a star on the inside of the spider web, a few stars on this piece here and this piece here that have the bats on it, and then a few stars there. So there, now we glitzed them up a bit. All right, so let's say now that you've got only 30, let's say you just need to make 30 treats. So that leaves you with supplies for one more set of regular boxes from the kit. I've taken those regular box pieces again, so all of these pieces, and I've turned them into cards. So you can make a set of Halloween cards and send those to your relatives around Halloween. Let me show you those cards next. So I'm bringing in some extra cardstock and some extra paper. We're going to start with the basic black and the Orchid Oasis cardstock. Let's actually cut this one first. We're going to cut it down the middle. So our 8.5 by 11 cardstock is going to be cut at 4¼ inches, which is halfway between the halfway spot for 8.5. And then we're going to take one of these pieces. We're going to score it at the middle point, which would be 5.5 from the 11-inch length. And we're going to score it again at 2¾ inches, which is halfway between 5.5 and 0. And we're creating like a Z fold, okay? With this piece, let's just cut it in half. And then with the Orchid Oasis, I've already cut that one. So I've got some quarter sheets of cardstock here. I've got this piece, which is a Z fold. And then I actually used another half sheet of basic black and cut that one in half and then scored it down the middle. So these are my 6 card bases, and 4 of them are just quarter pieces of cardstock. Then I also added in some designer paper called Gingham Cottage. It comes in 12 by 12 size, but I cut my pack down to 6 by 6. And so this one here is one that I used on the cards, and I believe I used this one also. But you can see that there's a lot of patterns that work really well with Halloween or any season really, but there's some good ones. Like, look at that. Some really great patterns, gingham patterns. And these will cut as we create our cards. So I think we'll start with, let's start with the Z-fold card. So we're going to use this paper, and we're going to use from the kit this one here. And we're going to trim at a couple score lines here. We're going to trim at this score line and at this score line. This piece we're going to save for another card. These are the two we'll use on this one. And then we're also going to cut a piece that is 4¼ inches wide. We're going to trim 1 inch off. And then we're going to cut again at 3 3¾ inches. So this piece and this piece we'll just set aside. We'll use these. I'm also going to bring in some ribbon. Now I've run out of it because I've already pre-made this card. But the ribbon is called Fresh Freesia, and it's the open weave ribbon. It looks like this. So when we get to that spot, I'm just going to show you the final card. So let's add this piece. And again, for quickness, I like to use my seal adhesive rather than the glue dots that come in the kit. It's much faster to apply when we have large pieces like this. Oh, and before I add that, I'm actually going to stick this on here. So we need to stamp that first. We're going to bring in that black ink again and the bats. And we'll add some black bats up in this upper corner. And that's going to get stuck onto our card right through this area here. We're not going to put any adhesive below that second score line. That second score line is what's going to get lined up with this part of the fold here. So we're just going to press that on there like that. Make sure it's centered and straight. You can use the bottom of your card to line things up. Just make sure it's not going on there crooked and it's centered. This piece now, which I'm actually going to add a little bit more adhesive to, so it goes right to the edge, is going to go across here and kind of hide that large white area. Like so. This piece we're going to stamp with our Happy Halloween stamp. And I think we'll put it up a little higher than straight into the middle, because that way we have a place to sign our name on the card, because this is really the only white spot on the inside of the card, or light spot I should say, because you don't always have to have white cardstock in there. And we're just going to prop that up in the middle, and I'm going to press it lightly. I don't want it to stick down all the way yet. Good, it looks like it's hidden. And you could even put it up higher if you want to, but I think I like it how it dips into the designer paper here. So this is where the card can get signed. And next we're going to add a spider. So when we open up the card, the spider is going to be hanging down from the web. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay that on there. Fold it in this direction, snip this amount off, because you have to have your spider separated into two pieces if it's going to get folded within, or it'll get bent real weird. So I'm now going to use some adhesive called multi-purpose liquid glue, and I've put it into this applicator bottle. You can find this type of bottle in my favorite extras on my website at stampyourartout.com if you're looking for something like that. You can use the bottle as is. I'm just kind of spoiled now, and I keep using this applicator to dispense my glue. I just love it. Okay, and I haven't put my spider over the fold portion of the inside of the card because I want the card to fold shut. And if it's over the fold, it's not going to do that. So now let's just take and add this on the other side of the fold line, so you can see like that. Okay, then when we press it down and open it up, nothing has moved, nothing has puckered or bunched up. Okay, the next thing that we could add is a bit of stars. So let's grab our stars again, and our take your pick tool, which has a little gummy end here, and we're going to grab a couple stars, just kind of give some stars into the sky here, like that. On the inside, let's place another star. There we go. And then the last step is to bring in some of this open weave ribbon. I've only got a little bit of it, so I'm not going to demonstrate wrapping it around and tying it, but you would wrap it around the card while it's open, wrap it around here, and tie it off. And in the end, you will get a card that looks like this one here. So fun, right? Okay, now the next card uses the box base. We're going to grab the orange box base and we're going to trim off the two sides. So I lined up this flat edge at the top, and then I made sure that this edge, this portion of the edge of the box here, was in the channel of the trimmer. And the way that I checked that is I put my cutting blade right in there and I pushed it over until I could feel it pressing against, hang on a minute, until I could feel it pressing against the blade. And then I sliced, and it made a cut that was super close and right in line with those edges. Do the same thing to the other side. This time you only have that little spot there. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and cut where that score line is occurring here. And this piece here, we're just going to fold over at this spot. Let's do a couple more cuts. We're going to cut off this end here. You don't need to, but I don't know. It's just going to look cleaner on the back side of the card. And then we're bringing back in these papers here. This one we're going to flip over and use on that side. And this one we're going to cut at 4 1/4 inches. And these pieces right here we won't use, so you can set those all the way aside. This one we will use later, and we're bringing back the white piece from the card that we just used because it's already cut and ready to go. And then for our base, we're going to use a 1/4 sheet of the basic black. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add this designer paper to the orange. On the left side. Then we're going to use our bone folder and give this a good crease. Add some adhesive back here. And then we're going to connect it to the top of our card base so that everything looks even. And we're going to press it to the back like that. This piece is going to go through the middle. And I kind of have it upper middle. And then we're going to stamp. So let's grab this piece from the kit, and then we're going to stamp on this too. We're going to stamp the Trick or Treat, again in the black color. And we'll stamp those bats again onto this piece. This will go on the inside of the card. We're going to center it between the two sides. And you want to make sure that if you did bring this down to the exact middle, that this piece isn't dipping below this area here. So that's why I kind of brought this up a little higher, because I knew that this was going to need to sit a little higher underneath that flap. And now I'm going to add dimensionals to the back of this piece and add that in this area just to give that score line area a little bit more reinforcement. Let's also bring in the stars, and let's add a large and a small down here, and then a smaller one maybe up here. And on the inside of the card, I'm going to add a large one down in here. So there is that finished card, our second one. Okay, our next card is going to involve using this black base piece. So we're going to trim off the sides again. We're also going to use this piece here. we're going to use, and this is just the quarter sheet, we're going to use some of this paper. We're going to use the leftover piece from the paper, the pumpkin pie piece that we just cut. And for our extra areas, we're going to use the star stickers and these two pieces here. So let me trim this. And then what I decided to do instead is trim off this little section here, and this is going to be the bottom front. And then for this one, I'm going to trim right at that score line here. And we're going to use this piece, the white side of it, later on. This will be where we'll have that crease that flaps over the back side of our quarter sheet of cardstock. So we're going to make another one that has a flap, but this flap sits a little bit lower. Let's trim this to 4 by 5 1/4. And let's trim this piece so that we're making a rectangle out of it. So I'm just going to trim off this extra little end here and then trim along the score line. Okay, let's take this and add that to the front of the card, or the front of the card base. It's the perfect layer. It's 4 by 5 1/4, which just sits under the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch space with 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Oh, and I forgot. Don't do this. Don't do what I did. So this is why I wanted to add this layer. We're going to tuck this inside here. So let's go ahead and add adhesive in that spot. And then we're going to position it in here so that it is centered. Very good, very good. Yay, now let's just add a little bit more adhesive on the back side. Sorry about that. Add this to this before you apply it to your black base. I was just getting excited again. Okay, now we're gonna, I just love the cards. And sometimes when I have them made ahead of time, it just makes me want to share them faster maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I know what I'm doing and I don't have to guess along the way. So we're going to go ahead and stamp these bats. I'm loving the bats. We're going to stamp them right in the middle of this scallop circle piece. We're going to add those with dimensionals. So I'll put a few dimensionals on the back side of this. And we'll place that, and I make sure that you have your dimensionals positioned far enough over. Let's just scoot that one over that way more, so that when you're having this come off the edge, you don't have any dimensionals being seen there. Now, on my first card that I made, that's finished already, I stamped the trick or treat onto the orange here. But Memento Tuxedo Black ink is water-based, and it was coming off the surface of this cardstock here. It doesn't come off the surface of the white side, but for some reason, with the color printed on here, it's smearing easily. I had to use like a tissue paper. You can see some of the, well, maybe that wasn't the tissue paper. Well, anyways. On the inside, it's a little bit duller. It's not like a bright black like it was when I first stamped it. So I took tissue paper and I added it like this so that when I set things on top of this card, the white wouldn't pick up this ink. So it took like several blots of tissue. So be careful when you're actually stamping on the non-white areas of your kit pieces here. I'm going to use a different ink. I'm going to use StazOn Jet Black. Now with StazOn, it is a permanent ink that you can stamp onto like acetate or window sheets or whatever. It's really a strong ink that sits and stains pretty quickly on your stamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this up and stamp it on here and then quickly go wash this stamp off. And you actually want to stamp right away too, because it dries fairly quickly. And as long as you wash off your stamp right away, you can prevent it from getting too stained or mucked up or whatever. That ink is not good for sitting on photopolymer stamps. It's fine for the red rubber stamps, but for photopolymer, it can do some damage. So you want to stamp and clean quickly if you're going to use it. And see, now I don't have any smearing whatsoever. We're going to add that to the inside, and we can have this pretty much centered because this piece is covered by a very long flap as opposed to the flap we had on the second card. Let's bring in the star stickers. And there's that completed card. That's the third one. So for the fourth card, I have trimmed off the same pieces that I trimmed off on my black treat base. So we have the same flap. We're going to do another flap card. Then we're going to bring in this quarter sheet of Orchid Oasis cardstock, the Orchid Oasis ink. This is the color that comes in the kit. And then we're just going to stamp random little ghosts. So we're going to make this ghost flying all over the cardstock. And it's okay to have some gappage in the middle here because we're going to be covering up the center anyways. Actually, let's leave this out and let's stamp our Happy Halloween onto this piece. We're going to go right below that score line, this score line here. And then let's wrap this back over the top of the card. Like that. And then we've got that square piece that we cut off. Sorry, not a square piece, rectangular piece. So we're going to use that, trim off the little tiny section here that sticks out. I'm going to place that on the inside of the card. Before we actually put it on the inside, I'm going to grab this Orchid Oasis piece from the kit and cut it in half. We're going to add adhesive to the back side. And I like when I have a small piece like this, I like to put it together next to the other small piece. And that way my wider adhesive can go across both of them at the same time. So as I place this down in the center here, I'm going to not push down on the sides too much, just grab my grid paper. And I don't know, where that black line is running through looks good. Just making sure that everything is nice and straight. And I'm going to use that black line as a guide and just go under and right out to the edge on each side. So as if that black line is going through my card, guiding me. We'll put a star on the inside of the card because sometimes you just need a star. And then on the outside of the card, I would, if I had more of this, tie this ribbon around this section here, tie it in a little knot. We're going to grab our fun, cute little ghost and add that with dimensionals. And I'm not going to actually stick it on because I'm going to buy myself some more of that ribbon so I can add it later. But we're going to tie that ribbon on here, put the ghost on there, add a few more of these fun stars. And then in the end, you will have a card that looks like this. That ghost is not spooky at all. He's so cute. All right, next card. So this card involves the plaid piece, and what I did is I cut right at that last score line. So the tapered end is over here, and the score line that I'm cutting on is the last one over here. And then I took this piece, which is 3 inches in this direction, and I cut it into quarters. So that's every 3 quarters of an inch, I had a cut. 3 of these pieces I saved for my second card, so I'm just going to grab these here, or my last card. And then the other piece I took and I flipped over and used for this one. Because I cut that all up and I used the 3 other pieces on my last card, I needed another section for the inside where I would write. So you could use the black one, which we had left over, or what I did is I ended up cutting this one off because I used the black one on my last card. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. That left me with an ample amount of purple left, which I could make a 7th card from, but I ended up not doing that. So let's go ahead and stamp on these pieces. And this middle part is going to get covered up. So really that's all that gets seen. This type of flap is a little bit shorter, as you can see. I probably didn't need to cut off everything, but I did have a 6th card, which I love. It's a totally different look. On this one here, I do like the orchid color showing, so I am going to show that on the inside of the card because it kind of coordinates with the colors that are in the plaid. And I'm going to boost it up just a tad because this flap again is a shorter flap. And then this piece we're going to add with dimensionals. You can use the smaller dimensionals in the kit if you want. I tend to gravitate towards the larger ones unless I'm putting something really, really small on. Let's add that down here. Let's take some of those star embellishments again. So in some areas I overlapped stars, and in some I just put them wherever I wanted to. So there is that finished card. Lots of cards from 3 boxes, right? All right, let's share the last card. The last card is going to use that folded card base. We're going to use these 3 strips of plaid. I'm calling it plaid. It's not officially plaid, is it? We're going to put some adhesive back there. We're also going to use this piece, but I'm going to flip it over just because it's easier to stamp, like I said, on the white rather than the yellow. And then we're also using that fun little web, the spider web. So we're going to grab our stamp and only ink up the word happy. Okay, this is going to go on after we've added these pieces. So let's add this one up towards the top of the card, somewhat, even, like have an even amount all the way around. So it's about 7/8 of an inch, I want to say, all the way around on this side, and at the top. And then we'll put this one down here. Same thing, where we're making sure we have about 7/8 of an inch all the way around. Don't press them completely down yet because you may have to shift one. This one we'll put about 1/4 of an inch away from the one we just did. And then we'll place this here and we'll bring it in at about this spot. See, now I want to shift things. So I'm going to move this one up a little bit closer to where this is going. And then we take off the backing on this and we just place that over the corner here so that it hides the fact that that strip doesn't extend as far as these strips here. On the inside, we're going to grab this piece, and again, it could be any of the pieces because we have to stamp on the white side of it anyways. But I'm just going to use what I used on the last card. We're going to flip it over and we're going to stamp the Halloween now. So we need to clean off our stamp. We're going to clean this and then we're just going to ink up that portion. So now on the inside of my card, I have the word Halloween. I have my spider And the last thing I'm going to do is just bring in a black marker. I've got a black Sharpie marker here, but I just put little dots along the front here so that I have, you know, kind of ellipse there. Happy what? Happy Halloween. So there's the 6th card. Now you could totally make a 7th card. You've got these pieces left over. In fact, you've got a pack of designer paper and some cardstock too if you were doing the cards as is, or as I shared them. So hopefully you can come up with even more creative ideas. Let's say that Halloween is not your thing though. So let's bring in one of the boxes. I'm going to use this orange one, and we'll just quickly assemble that box. And then the way that this is supposed to work is this piece gets added to the inside of the box like that, and that little section there tucks right into the hole. So that is the base, and we're going to use this piece here. And now we have a sleeve for our box. So this does not have to be Halloweenish. We could turn this one into, I don't know, birthday. It's kind of got a masculine look to it too. But I definitely think it can be Thanksgiving-ish. So you could put a Thanksgiving treat in here and decorate it up with something Thanksgiving-ish. Now I brought in the leaf, label, and amber gem combo pack, but this is all I have left of it because I made a bunch of things with those amber gems. So I have a couple amber gems left. Obviously, we'll probably want to put one right there to cover up that hole. But we're going to add that to the front of the box. So I'm going to use this piece here that has the bat on it and flip it over. I'm going to bring in a stamp set that has a sentiment that I would like to use on this box. You are such a blessing. Now, if you have something that says Happy Thanksgiving or thankful for you or something, you could do that too. This is one of our cling mount stamp sets. It has the red rubber and labels that you adhere. You don't have to necessarily use the labels because these stamps still cling to the clear block. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I mount my labels. I first take the side of the labels that has the part that you peel off, and you can tell because it has a cut through the middle. And this is ready to peel away, but I don't want to peel it away yet. Now what I want to do is grab not only this portion, but I want to grab the whole sticker. So I'm grabbing all of this, and I'm going to stick this against my clear block, like that. And now you can see why I lifted these little corners up, because they're easier to grab and peel away. And then what I do is I just hover right over the top of my stamp, and I pick up the stamp with the label. You kind of got to dig your fingernail under there. If you don't have a fingernail, you can grab, you know, a tool like this, but you want to get under there because these labels can peel back away from your stamp if you're not careful. Sometimes people put like just a little piece of tape there, like Scotch tape or something, a clear tape, just in the corner so that it has there's a place where you can grab it again. So now that we have that done, we're going to bring in our black ink again. We could use the Orchid Oasis colored ink that comes in the kit, but I think that one's not as Thanksgiving-y. So I'm going to use this one here, the black ink Memento, inking it up. Okay, we're going to stamp that down. It's harder to tell exactly where you're stamping when you're using cling mount, but you do have the edges, obviously, of your stamp. So now we have that on there, and we can just add those pieces together. And because this is a treat, we can go ahead and add, where are my dimensionals? Here they are. We can add lots of dimension to this if we really want to. After all, it's probably just going to be sitting on top of the table at Thanksgiving time. I put a dimensional right there because I want this little amber gem not to fall away. And when it was just kind of sitting on a hole, there was that risk. So we'll turn it like that. Angles are always fun. And then of course, because like I mentioned, it's a 3D container, who cares how many dimensionals we add? Let's add even more. And that can go right there. And now we can put a sweet little treat or some yummy candles or whatever inside our box, and we have our fun place setting extra little gift for Thanksgiving time. Now that only gives you, if you have one kit, that only gives you 6 boxes for Thanksgiving time. So let's say you need more, because we used up the orange base and the plaid wrap. If you wanted more, you could use either of these. For this one, I recommend having something on the inside and the outside so that you can tape it together and hide that spider web. For this one, you could turn it upside down and have the white side exposed, unless you like the orchid for Thanksgiving. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to wrap that white to the inside, or I'm sorry, the orchid to the inside so that I see the white. And let's start with this one. I'm going to pair that one up with the black base here. It doesn't matter which base I use on this, but then I thought I would bring back those papers from the Gingham Cottage, and I pulled out a few that I thought were Thanksgiving-ish, Christmassy-ish or whatever. Again, these papers come in 12 by 12, but I had cut mine down. So I could use this one and wrap it around the box as a Thanksgiving color, even the green, but the green also looks kind of Christmassy. In fact, all of these kind of have a Christmas look to them. So, you know, just play around with your papers, designer papers that you might have on hand, right? And then you can add more of those leaves and amber gems and come up with a box. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this box as a Christmas box. So let's go ahead and take the red sheet. I'm going to grab my trimmer. And each of these sections here are 2.5 by 3, 1 by 3, and 1 by 3. If you want to do the base too, you can. So 2.5 by 3, I probably don't want to go right exactly to the edge. So I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch smaller than that 3 inches. 2.5, 1/8 of an inch smaller. Okay, and then I'm going to use this side of my trimmer because it's easier to hold on to my paper this way. And I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch smaller. So 7/8. 7/8 by 2 7/8. 2 3/8 by 2 7/8. And those are the pieces that I would need for the top and the sides. And again, if I want to reinforce it and make it really sturdy, I'm going to cut another one to put on the inside. So I'll just go ahead and trim this again and do a piece for the inside of the box. So there's 2 layers there. And if you want to, you could also decorate the bottom. So that would require a 3rd piece the same size. Let's take this out. Let's go ahead and add adhesive all over this piece. And if you want that showing on the inside, you could go like this. I'm just going to slather it with adhesive. And we're going to bring it inside here, center it, and stick it in there. Okay, so I've just centered it all over, and now I see all that stickiness here, but that's okay because I'm going to add this piece to the top. So any pattern paper that has the design that you want for the holiday or special occasion that you're looking for. So you could flip that orange base this way instead, and you can have black and white or all white bases for that matter. Okay, now we can decorate that Christmassy. Let's take our last one here and put that together. And for this one, we really only need 1 and then 2 on the sides, right? If you change your mind, you can flip it over. I just like the deeper green. I think it's more earthy on this side here. And again, you can grab your embellishments that you would have on hand. For my Christmas boxes, I've got the Brightest Glow stamp set sentiments that I'm using on these pieces from the kit, and I'm going to add those to the tops of the boxes. So before I do that, though, I'm going to bring in one of these embellishments here. This is from the Wonderful Snowflakes pack, and we're just going to add a little bit of adhesive right through the center here. Now, if you wanted to get real detailed, you could come in and put adhesive all over it, but I'm just going to stick it right there. In fact, I'm going to turn it this way because we're also going to put ribbon going across our box. So I'm looking at the two sides here where that narrow area is, and I'm pressing that in there. And then we're going to use some ribbon, and this time I'm bringing in the same sort of ribbon, but this is a different color. This one is our Evening Evergreen Open Weave ribbon, and it's not the exact same green, but it's a nice deep green, and greens at Christmas time are always lovely. We're just going to take and cut a portion. Yes, I stamped it once and it was crooked, so I used the other side of that piece. And there we have our cute little Christmas box in green. Let's do the red one. So for the red one, I'm going to go ahead and already put this up on dimensionals. I'm putting the dimensionals towards the center back. And I'm bringing in these little items, gold holly leaves. Aren't they fun? And I think the best way to add these will be to use the glue dots from the kit. And you can certainly put the glue dots all over the back side. I have chosen to do it just on the ends because that's all I feel I need. They come in two sizes, as you can see, and there's also a direction to the veins of the leaves, so you want to watch that when you're placing them down. And there we have our two Christmas boxes. And that's all I've got for you this time. I will be sharing more soon. Anyways, we have doubled the treat boxes from the kit. We've turned 18 into 36. We've taken the supplies for 3 of the kit treat boxes and turned them into 6 cards. And then we've also taken and gone away from Halloween, made Thanksgiving and Christmas treat boxes instead. Now that you've watched my video, I hope you can see that there is so much more to these kits than meets the eye. With just a few extra supplies and some imagination, you can go beyond and make so much more. Want to give these paper pumpkin kits a try? They're just $23.50 plus tax per month in the US. Shipping's included. You control which months you get your kits, and there's no commitment or obligation. And by clicking on my personalized link below and starting your subscription through me as your demonstrator, you'll have access to my exclusive paper pumpkin project ideas too. What's in store next month? 'Tis the season to make your own Christmas cards with the Ho 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 Paper Pumpkin Kit. This kit contains whimsical designs of Santa and his reindeer in classic Christmas colors and contains enough supplies to make 9 festive cards, 3 of 3 different designs. Word from the North Pole, too, is that this kit coordinates with the following month's Paper Pumpkin Kit, which is going to include tags. But of course, I'll show you how to make more than that, so make sure that you have an active subscription by September 10th. Thank you for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. To access Paper Pumpkin Kit ideas that I'll share in the future, be sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and to my website, because I share even more each month in other special blog posts. In fact, click on my website link below so that you can access the visual supply list and view close-up photos of all that I have shared today. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.